European Istanbul from the Asian side. There's Leander's Tower, Topkapi Hagia Sophia and the Blue Mosque, and the Galata Tower. And there is Discovery. And here on the Asian side is the British cemetery, with graves dating back to the Crimean War and before. The British Army occupied Istanbul after the end of the First World War until 1923. Many of these soldiers died after the end of hostilities from illness. There are many expatriate civilians buried here as well, including this Liverpool sea captain. And Queen Victoria erected this monument to her soldiers who died in the Crimean War. Over the road from the cemetery is the building that housed Scutari Hospital, where Florence Nightingale worked. You need special permission to enter now, as it's still an active Turkish army barracks. Back to the European side and Rustem Pasa Mosque, built in the 1560s by a son-in-law of Suleiman the Magnificent and designed by that sultan's greatest architect. The most remarkable feature of this mosque is the thousands of original Iznik tiles in many different patterns. And back on board for overnight on Discovery. An early start in the morning to get to Topkapi Palace as soon as the ticket office opens. And when we've got our main tickets for Topkapi, we queue again half an hour later for tickets to the Harem. Harem just means the private apartments of the Sultan and the royal family. Construction of Topkapi Palace commenced only a few years after Sultan Mehmed II conquered Constantinople in 1453. It remained the main home of the sultans until the middle of the 19th century. This is the Crown Prince's room. And this is the courtyard of the favourites. We've now moved outside of the harem to continue our exploration of the rest of Topkapi Palace. Every part of the palace has a purpose, and this was the circumcision room. It's late morning now, and there are long queues to get into the treasury. This is the Sultan's council chamber. The Sultans moved out of Topkapi Palace in the middle of the 19th century, and one of the places they moved to was the Beylerbeyi Palace on the other side of the Bosphorus. This was completed in 1856 and was used as a summer palace and also for putting up visiting heads of state. The hall with pool at the centre of the ground floor separates the public part of the palace from the harem, the family part. The Blue Hall on the first floor is also in the centre of the palace, directly above the hall with pool, and therefore also separates the official and family parts of the palace. The palace has direct access to the Bosphorus, and right across there you can see the Dolmabahce Palace. Here is the ceremonial guard at the Dolmabahce Palace. Completed in 1853, Dolmabahce was the main residence of the Ottoman sultans until the end of the empire. At the centre of the official part of the palace is the great double horseshoe crystal staircase with pillars made of baccarat crystal. Crystal features significantly in this palace, mainly in the form of large ornate chandeliers. And in the ballroom is the biggest of the lot, 4.5 tons of Bohemian crystal, presented by Queen Victoria no less. The harem is a much plainer building on the outside than the official part of the palace, but still has some pretty spectacular rooms inside. There are bedrooms and other private rooms on a more human scale, and Ataturk lived here when he visited Istanbul during the days of the Republic, and in fact he died in this room. The clock is kept stopped at the exact time of his death. In the city centre now, and there's the Blue Mosque, but we're not going there, we're going across the park to the great Byzantine church of Hagia Sophia. This huge building was completed in 562 on the orders of the Emperor Justinian the Great. It served as a church for nearly 900 years until the Ottoman conquest of Constantinople in 1453, and the Sultan Mehmed II turned it into a mosque. In 1935, the building was taken over by the Turkish government and turned into a museum. Whitewash, which had covered some of the Christian symbols, was removed, so the museum shows the building as a church and a mosque. The upper gallery was intended for female worshippers, and in its time as an Orthodox church, the Empress had a private box up here. The dome is over 30 metres in diameter and stands over 55 metres above the floor at its highest point. This mosaic shows the emperors Justinian I and Constantine with the Virgin and Child. Outside, the fountain added during the Islamic period. Istanbul has a modern tram system. Only a couple of lines, but it always seems very busy. We didn't use it, however. We chose to walk down to Galata Bridge and back to Discovery. Our route takes us past Sirkeçi Station, the original terminus of the Orient Express. There's Discovery and the other cruise ships on the other side of the Golden Horn. Galata Bridge is overrun by anglers. You have to pay for a licence apparently, and there are businesses selling bait and bits of tackle and so on, but it's always mad busy with people fishing. Right up to the bow of our ship. Every night, the first Bosphorus Bridge provides a free LED light show. Our last morning in Istanbul, and we visited the Grand Bazaar. There are over 6,000 shops in this vast area, which was originally created immediately after the Ottoman invasion in the 1450s by roofing over an area of existing shops. Today, many of the shops are very smart boutiques, and the old custom of haggling isn't quite so well observed as it used to be.